Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy LB coming back at you guys with a brand new vinyl update. I know it's been a while since I done one, but just been busy. I live on the East Coast, and we got hit with that winter storm and everything like that. So finally, it's a great day today. So I thought I would take the time to do one. So let me kick this thing off, man. All right. So first record I got right here. This is Prince, his second album, self-titled, released in 1979. Great album. As far as the sound, it's still more along the lines of R&B and funk, but there are elements of like new wave. Well, not really new wave, but more of rock. I would say more hard rock. When I was looking it up, some of the songs were categorized as new wave, but to me it sounded like hard rock. But this was it was a transition point. This is where Prince was really starting to develop his sound more. It was only just a hint of what was to come later in later years, or maybe the next year with his next album, Dirty Mind. But definitely a great album, a big seller. It really put Prince on the map, helped put him on the map. I Want to Be Your Lover, which I think was the first single, was a huge hit. I think it might have been a #1 hit. And songs like Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad, which is a hard rock number. Then I Feel For You, a great R&B. And so one thing that's worth to mention about I Feel For You is that song was famously covered in the mid-'80s by Chaka Khan. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that Chaka Khan's version is the original version because they're not familiar with Prince's version. But yeah, she covered that song in 1984. It had that rap by I think Melly Mel on it. But definitely a great album. It's not really one of my favorite Prince albums. I'm more of a fan of Dirty Mind and Controversy, so to speak. But it's still definitely worth picking up, man. If you're somebody who wants to hear what Prince sounded like before Purple Rain in 1999, to check out his earlier work. But for him to be at such a young age, man, he done some remarkable things at a young age. Because I think he was only 23 when he did this album. But definitely a great record. So pick it up if you come across it. Okay. Alright, so next album right here, got Def Leppard, On Through the Night. Yeah, got this on vinyl. I know some of you saw me show this on my CD update video, but I got it on vinyl. Picked it up, man, instantly, man. But yeah, this is Def Leppard's first album, released in 1980. A great record. Really showed it really displays a different Def Leppard from what you're familiar with. Most people only know Pyromania and Hysteria because those are the big albums within their career. But this is that early Def Leppard before all of that, before the huge success that they would later obtain. Oh, sorry, just got my cat walking around here. But anyway, it shows a very more harder, heavier. Well, this is pretty much a heavy metal album. I know a lot of metal fans and metal musicians, they prefer this Def Leppard over Pyromania and Hysteria. But it just shows a great, rawer, stripped down sound, in my opinion, man. And really good, man. And these guys were young too when they done this album. Most of them were like in their teens. I think the drummer, Rick Allen. The drummer Rick Allen, he was like, I think he might have been like maybe 16 years old or 15, but he was the youngest out of all of them, man. But definitely a great album. Definitely check out Def Leppard's early work, man, because the band themselves, man, they disregard their early stuff, which I don't understand, man. But great heavy metal, even though they don't consider themselves heavy metal. And that's another story, man, because they did do heavy metal. And they were a heavy metal band. But that's another argument for another time. But definitely check out On Through the Night. Okay, what else? Alright, next, right here, Def Leppard, High and Dry, released in 1981. Now this is my favorite Def Leppard album right here. I also had this on CD, and it's in the same CD update video I did on this CD and others. But this is my favorite Def Leppard, man. I really think that the band took it up a notch with this one, man. Mutt Lange, who produced this album, who was known for producing for AC/DC, this was the first record he produced for Def Leppard, and that's a relationship that lasted for a long time. I think he's retired now, but this was his first production duty with Def Leppard, and it really showed a progression in the band. They really defined their sound with this album. Because even though I like On Through the Night, one thing I can say is Joe Elliott on Through the Night, he really doesn't sound like Joe Elliott to me. But this album right here, to me, you get that signature Joe Elliott vocals. But one thing that's different about his vocals on this album and later ones is that his vocals are a lot more harsher. Like on some of these songs, he's to the point where he's like yelling and screaming. A great example was the last song on this album called No No No. I mean, he just really just yells and screams that no 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 through that song, man. And I know in the CD update I said that I thought that On Through the Night was better than High and Dry, but actually after going back and listening to High and Dry a few more times, I actually think that this album is better. I listen to it quite a bit. Anytime I want to listen to Def Leppard, this is usually the album that I pop in, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just great, man. It's great heavy metal. And I feel like, and I'm not a metalhead or anything like that. I do like heavy metal, but I don't want to sound like a purist, but I think it's kind of the end of an era for Def Leppard, man, because, Pyromania, while it was a good album, that was the more commercial side. And I think this was the last of like that real heavy metal Def Leppard that a lot of metal people, or metal fans really like. But definitely a great album, definitely one that should be checked out. Alright, so next, another Def Leppard, Pyromania, released in 1983. I also have this on CD. I've had it on CD quite a while, man. But this and Hysteria, man, those are the two biggest albums in Def Leppard's career. This album right here is what pushed them to be the superstars that they are today. I think almost every song on this album was a single. See, Photograph being the biggest, and Rock of Ages. Still pretty much a heavy album, but you could tell that they were going for a more radio friendly commercial sound. But it's still a great album, but it's definitely not an album that I listen to quite often because you hear the songs so much. Like I hear Photograph almost every day at work. I work at Walmart, man, and it's on Walmart radio like all the time, man. So Rock of Ages, I mean, how many times they did a whole musical behind Rock of Ages. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's great music, man, but it's just one of those records where you've heard the music so many times that it's like you don't even want to pick it up no more and listen to it. Maybe sporadically once you had that feeling to listen to it, but still a great album, man. And what more can I say that hasn't already been said by Pyromania, man? Great metal. Okay. Next album I got right here. This is Foghat, Fool Through the City, Fool for the City. Excuse me, Fool for the City. Released in 1975. Man, Foghat is a band that I've recently just started listening to, but one of the biggest songs from this album is a song called Slow Ride. I'm sure some of you guys have heard that song. It goes slow ride, take it easy. I'm pretty sure everybody out here has heard that song. Well, this is the band that made that song. Great hard rock, great blues rock from a British rock band. I don't know what it is, man. I really enjoy hearing these British rock bands, man. But great music, man. This whole album was good, man. Like when I bought it, I listened to it like 3 times in one night because it was just that good. I really enjoyed like the vocals, the musicianship, especially the slide guitar. Like their slide guitar just used predominantly throughout most of the music on this album, man. But definitely great British hard rock, great British blues rock, man. Definitely an enjoyable album, man. And I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to hear some good hard rock, man. Check it out. Okay, what else I got here? And next, I got Death Angel, the Ultraviolence, released in 1987. Death Angel, they're a thrash metal band from Concord, California. They came up during the whole Bay Area thrash scene with bands like Exodus. Who else? Violence. Oh, what's some other bands? I guess you could say Metallica. I mean, even though Metallica started in LA, it was actually the Bay Area where they really started obtaining like success, and it's also where they got Kirk Hammett, because Kirk Hammett used to be a member of Exodus. But anyway, Death Angel, they came out of that whole Bay Area scene with like Violence, Exodus, Testament, those bands that thrash, that Bay Area thrash scene. What's really remarkable about these guys is that they were really young when they started. I mean, well, they were young when they did this album. Most of them were still in their teens. The drummer, he was like 14 years old when they did this album. And these guys are remarkable, man. Remarkable musicians, man. Great thrash metal. This is probably the heaviest album that they've done, I believe, man. Because I've listened to their other albums, like Frolic Through the Park, which I have on CD, and Act 3, which I also have on CD. And those albums are heavy, but they're not as heavy as this. Like, the vocalist Mark, he screams a lot more on this album than he does the other ones. And it's just all around heavy. I just recently started really getting into like Death Angel, because I'm not really that familiar with a lot of the thrash metal bands outside of the big four. So I just been recently checking a lot of those guys out, and all of those guys outside of the big four thrash, they're just as equally, or even some are even better than the big four. I mean, remarkable musicians, man. But definitely a great album. Definitely a great band to check out if you're somebody that wants to check out bands outside of the big four. Death Angel, I highly recommend it. Death Angel, the Ultraviolence, man. Check it out. Alright, so next album I got right here, this is Saxon, Power and the Glory, released in 1983. I don't know if this is their like 4th or 5th album, but yeah, Saxon, man, they're a band from they were part of the whole British heavy metal scene. The new wave of British heavy metal that came out like around the late 70s, early 80s, with Def Leppard and Iron Maiden. And Saxon was one of those bands that helped bring that to the forefront. Like I said, I don't know if this is their 4th or 5th album, but I don't think it's one of their like most highly acclaimed albums. This is actually my first introduction into Saxon. Like, I've read about them countless times, but this is actually the first time I actually bought something of them and actually checked out their music. Their music is more along the lines, well, this album in particular is more like power metal, speed metal. But I mean, from what I hear, it's pretty good, man. But to me, in my personal opinion, it's a pretty good album. But I know in reading on other reviews and stuff like that from other fans and critics, this is not really their most acclaimed album. Actually, I think it's one before it. I think it's called Denim and Leather. I think that's the name of the album. That's considered their best album. And I actually heard that album recently, not too long ago, and I had to admit, it did sound a bit better than this record, man. I'll probably try to purchase that album sometime. But the Power and the Glory, I thought was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, it was my first time listening to Saxon. And when I got it at the record store, I asked the guy at the record store about Saxon. And he told me, yeah, man, they're a great band. And matter of fact, he said one of the first bands he was in, one of the first bands he was in was a band called Iron Horse, which was named after one of their songs. But he told me that I should definitely purchase this album and check them out. But I really enjoyed it, man. It's definitely good, heavy metal, man. So, you know, if you're somebody who wants to check out Saxon, pick this album or pick up their other ones, you know. But great music, man. And last, I have a couple of 7-inches, and these are the first 7-inches I've ever bought. Most of the 7-inches I have were inherited from my parents, man, but these are the first 7-inches I've bought with my own money. Alright, so first 7-inch I got right here, this is Layla by Derek and the Dominos, 1970, man. Layla is a song that I've heard plenty of times through the years, but I didn't know who made it. And I watched this documentary about this legendary recording engineer and producer named Tom Dowd, who produced this song. And there was a part in the film where he was like going through the mixes of how he mixed the song and everything, and it just sounded so awesome. But Derek and the Dominos was a blues rock band which was started by Eric Clapton. It was one of the few bands he was in after the breakup of Cream. They didn't last very long though, Derek and the Dominos. But Dwayne Allman from the Allman Brothers band, he played guitar on this record. That's mainly one of the reasons why I bought this 7-inch, because I knew that Dwayne Allman played on this record. And you know, anybody that's familiar with Dwayne Allman, the Allman Brothers, man, we all know that Dwayne Allman, man, he was one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, man. I'm just gonna put it that way. He's one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, man. And that was one of the reasons why I bought this 7-inch, man. But it contains the short single version, and it also contains the long version, man. But definitely a classic in rock music, man. A highly enjoyable song, man. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are familiar with Layla, because it's a song that I've heard pretty much my whole life, but I just never knew who was behind it. But great song, man. Like I said, I really just bought this because I knew Dwayne Allman played on it. But great, man, great song, man. Alright, and last I have Flotsam and Jetsam. This is Swatting Flies and Date with Hate. I think this came out in 1993. Yeah, 93. But yeah, let me show you what it looks like. It's on red. The 7-inch is red. Look at it. Pretty cool, right? It's red. I thought that was cool. But yeah, Flotsam and Jetsam, they're a thrash metal band. I think they're from Arizona. Unlike most bands, like most thrash bands, you know, most bands were coming from, at least American bands were coming from, like, you know, California or New York. But these guys were from Arizona. These guys were from the Southwest. Don't know too much about Flotsam and Jetsam, except that Jason Newsted, who I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. But anyway, Jason Newsted, who was the bassist for Metallica, he was the one who replaced Cliff Burton after Cliff Burton died. He was the replacement. This was the band that he was in before Metallica, but he only did one album with them, and that was the first album called Doomsday for the Deceiver, and that came out back in 1986. This is way after, you know, Jason had left the band. I mean, 1993, you know, by this time he was pretty much already in Metallica, because he joined Metallica around 87, I believe, or somewhere around the latter half of 86. I don't know, but yeah, Date with Hate. This came out in Swatting Flies, man. This came out in 1993. It's on their album. I don't know how to pronounce the name of the album that this is from. I'm gonna say Culturo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, man. But yeah, it's just got 2 songs. Swatting Flies. Swatting Flies is actually off the album. Date with Hate is actually significant. It's actually a release for this particular 7-inch, man. But yeah, great thrash metal. Pretty cool vocals. That's all I can say about that, man. But that's all I have for today. And I hope you guys enjoy this vinyl update. I know it's been a long time, but you know I don't like to do those videos on a set schedule, man. I just do it whenever I have the feeling to. But I hope you guys check out this video and enjoy it. And I hope to get back at you guys real soon. And as always, hope everybody has a blessed day. And love, peace, and music. Peace out.